Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. In today's conversation about five influential horror movies, we have one of my new horror buddies, Tasha, who is also a horror writer. I kind of already like talking about horror movies with people in general, but it is always interesting when there's people who do things in the genre. That always makes it like even more interesting. All right. So we're going to talk about her five influential horror movies. I don't
Do
remember
it.
what order we said. Let me look. Okay.
Signs.
Signs. We're going to talk about Signs. All right. So, what made you pick Signs for movies?
So some of the filming for this one was done about 45 minutes from where I grew up in New York.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, so it was kind of familiar scenery to begin with. And
Yeah.
then when it came out, my dad took us to the drive-in to see it.
Oh.
So we were at a drive-in surrounded by cornfields
Oh.
watching this movie. And I can't remember, I think I was probably like 13 or 14-ish when it came out.
Yeah.
So it made a huge lasting impression.
Yeah.
And aliens are kind of like the thing that gets me every time without fail. So it's just like Dark Skies was another one, and
That's a
like
good one.
that was a really good one. And then I think there's like a clip in VHS too where there's some aliens in there.
Yeah, there is.
So
Yeah.
that's between it like looking familiar and kind of introducing that to everything. Like it scared the crap out of me from the start. So
that's a really cool, like, to have gone to see it in a drive-in. Drive-in such a different experience with movies, I feel like.
oh, yeah.
God, but to be surrounded by so aliens are one of my things too that freak me out. I have a very short list of horror movies that have just really gotten to me after seeing them, as far as like scary stuff. Psychological stuff's a little bit different. But like I went and saw Signs in theaters. And it was one that stuck with me. Like, it made me so uncomfortable, and it was like, and I loved the way that it was filmed. I loved the acting. I loved the story. And this concept of like meant to be faith kind of like situation. I really, really like that a lot. And I know that like M. Night Shyamalan is not one of those creators that people really like. A lot of people complain about him.
Yeah.
I've seen most of his stuff, I think. But I feel like this one is like one of my favorites, next to The Village. That's probably my favorite.
That was a good one too.
But I really liked Signs a lot. And I think I'm with you. Aliens freak me out. And I think some of that's because, like, if you don't believe in aliens and you watch something about aliens, I feel like it's kind of like, it might be a little scary, but not really. But like, I definitely believe in the possibility of like, something else being out there. And that kind of just like, that makes it even scarier or more scary.
And there's so much room for them to do stuff with it, because I mean, really, like, I mean, as big as the universe is, obviously, for us to be the only intelligent life. So, you know, for it to kind of feel like it's definitely a thing, like, how do you decide what's realistic and what's not realistic? Like, anything is a possibility. And I feel like that just makes it so much worse.
No, I agree.
And I love, because I mean, they started off like with a bang, like him sitting up in bed like that because he's hearing the sounds. And then I'm typically not like a slow build fan. But I feel like the way they did it with this, just kind of introducing piece by piece by piece, they keep it just moving enough that you're like waiting for what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I think the pacing is one of the things that made it so effective, because you get like, it's like you start to get into those moments where you're kind of starting to feel like it's too slow, but it's like right before you get settled in that, like, something else is happening.
Yeah, you don't have time to get comfortable.
You don't know. And I think that that's what makes that kind of stuff linger, like, way after the fact, after you've seen it, you know, weeks down the road and you're thinking about it. That's still one of my favorites. I think I really like that one a lot. And it's funny because I haven't even thought about that movie in so long. And then I saw it on your list and I was like, damn, that is a good movie.
Yeah,
I like Signs. That's a really good one. What are we talking about next? What's number 2?
I've got Midsommar.
No, let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay.
But
So
I want to hear not I just want to hear what you think first, and then I'll tell you
it
all of
was one
my
of those
things.
like so I have my work horror movie buddy and then I have my free time horror movie buddy.
Okay.
So she and I went to see it together. And the biggest thing that left an impact on me from this movie is that the two of us walked out of the theater and we just looked at each other and we were like, do you know somebody with like kittens that we can go cuddle with? Like something to kind of like bring
Break
us
up.
back to like a sense of normalcy. We were
Yeah.
just like, what did we just watch?
Oh God,
Um,
no.
I
Yeah.
think it's one of those because I mean, there's so many parts in the movie where you're like jumping up and down and waving the red flags, like,
Oh my
what are you
gosh. Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
And they just keep pushing it. And
Yeah.
I guess there's probably quite a few horror movies that do this, but
Yeah.
a lot of the victims are, it's not that they're not likable, but they do so many things that, like, the one kid that decides he's gonna like take a piss on like the sacred tree where they dump the ashes and everything, like
Yes. Yes.
just their complete disregard for, I mean, I hate to say culture because it's a cult,
But
but
right. No, but I know
just,
what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's not that they brought it upon themselves, but I mean they're just so blatantly obtuse about all
Right.
of it. So it's hard because you're like, oh God, these people. But then like you see how they end up being murdered, like the guy that was splayed out in the barn. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was horrifying. So that was, yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about the people that died. I hadn't really thought about that. That's a good point. So, one of the main reasons that I struggle to like A24 films is because I feel like so much of what they do has no point and it's for shock
Mhm.
value.
Yeah.
So and having said that, Midsummer is very long. It's like 2 hours
Yes.
and 40 or like 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. But these are the things that I think it did right.
Mhm.
I I think that not overdoing the gore, because I think when you go into something and you're seeing like, okay, this is going to be like a movie about a cult, I think naturally we go to this place of like, this is going to be batshit. There's going to be a lot of gore. There's going to be a lot of crazy scenes. And it's not
Yeah.
so much that there's not crazy scenes. It's just that they have these very specific moments where you see the gore.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that that was probably pretty well done.
Yeah.
Um, and I think one of my other things that I did like about it, sort of like halfway liked about it, is I really liked the hive mind scenes, like some of them. So I
Mhm.
could have done, this is when it started to really lose me. I could have done without the sex scene. Like that whole
Oh,
thing
I
was
know.
like a bit much. Like I think you
It
could have
was
hit a
so
date. Yeah, it was
just awkward and
weird for the
awful.
sake of being weird. Like, what did we
Yeah.
walk away from other than wanting to vomit? Like, there was nothing. Um,
Yeah.
and I think, like, from a, I don't know, from like a cinematography standpoint, I think we would have benefited as the audience from that sequence better if we had just gotten a glimpse through the peephole
Yeah.
with Danny. Like, I think that that would have been a more effective way to do that scene. Um, but I will say this, when she goes to cry and the girls are with her, I
Mhm.
really liked that scene a
Yeah,
lot.
when they all like start screaming
Yes.
and yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I really, really, really love that scene. And I think mostly because I think generally speaking, we as human beings, we do not connect that way. And I thought that
Yeah.
that part was really well done. And there she has that conversation with Pele, the guy that brings them there.
Yeah.
Something I'm close, I think. They had that weird conversation, and he's like telling her, like, have you ever, like, I have a real family, like they held me, I never felt like I lost anything. And I was like, that's kind of a really interesting kind of concept. Although I think that's
Yeah.
also how cults get you. but
Right.
I think that that part was really well done. It was just such a weird movie.
Yeah. It really was. And
Yeah.
I I did kind of like, I mean, it was tough because I mean, you feel so bad for her like right out of the gate.
No, for sure.
And it, it just puts her in such a vulnerable position to begin with.
Mhm.
Um, and she walks in and like you said, like they all connect and they have like this moment, and now all of a sudden, like she's got people who may not necessarily relate to her, but they're like feeling her pain with her.
Yeah.
And I found a tank top one time that said "Let him burn," and it was a cartoon of her in like the mountain of flowers that they put
Yeah.
her in. And I wanted to get it so bad, but it's so crazy how it like takes that turn at the end, and she's like, you know what, like, no, it's okay,
Yeah.
bye.
All right. So I guess that leads us into Paranormal Activity.
Yes, ma'am.
We just talking about the first
uh,
one, or you
the
want to?
first one is the one I remember the most. I
Okay.
have seen the other ones.
Hmm.
um
Okay. However it goes.
I honestly, I couldn't tell you which pieces I remember go to which movie.
That's fine.
um but yeah,
I'm
the
moderately
first
familiar.
one. Do what?
I'm pretty familiar with them, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so I saw the first one in theaters, and the biggest thing with this one for me is that like low rumbling noise that happened, or that would pop up right before something happened when they're watching footage and stuff. It
Yes.
was like, yeah. So the apartment I was living in at the time, the heater made that noise
Oh.
before it would kick on. So I didn't sleep for like a week after I saw this one.
Oh no.
It was
Oh.
like every time I'd be like on the verge of falling asleep, and then I'd hear that rumbling, and I was like, "This is where I die. This is
Like
it."
I'm about to be drugged down the hallway.
Ugh, right. Oh
Oh,
God, that scene just.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's another one, kind of like also with Dark Skies, how they have like the security camera footage in the house and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and when you're just sitting there again, like just like kind of like with baby monitors, like you have no choice. You have to sit there and watch. You have to
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's something like walking across the screen, and you're like back in your seat. I'm super jumpy too, so it's always entertaining for people. Um, but but that's when you're sitting there watching the footage, and every tiny little thing that you see, you're like, wait, is that it? Is that
I
it?
know.
And
Yes, that's so true. That's so true.
and then all of a sudden, like, it just hits you because there's something huge where, like, she gets dragged out of bed and like down the hallway. And
Yes.
but yeah, footage, definitely love my footage.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I think that for a couple of them, the franchise kind of lost its way a little bit. But I
Mhm.
did really I loved the first one, the third one, and I liked the most recent one, Next of Kin. Those are my three favorites.
I
And
haven't
those are
seen
the
the new
one,
one yet.
it's on, what is it on? Paramount Plus, I think.
Okay.
I think
We
it's
have
on.
that at work, so I'll have to.
Yeah,
I
it's
I did see part of the trailer for it,
yeah,
with like the potato peeler, and
on her
that,
in hand.
yeah,
Ooh,
ugh,
yes.
yeah, that was a little nerve wracking.
Body
I did,
horror makes me so uncomfortable. I mean, I love it, like I'm into it, but like it makes me so
yeah,
uncomfortable.
and
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, but I felt like they kind of lost me. It's I can't remember if it's one where Katie's a little girl or if it's a different little girl, but it's where like the wall above her bed like opens up into this like
Yeah.
alternative.
Yeah. Ghost
Yeah,
Dimension.
that one, that
Yeah.
one I felt like was kind of, it just felt like a very random piece to me
Yeah. It was
out
a
of the
stretch.
rest of the series.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd agree.
but growing up, like we lived in a couple of different houses that were just weird. Like
Okay.
we'd have lights turn on at night. One of them, yeah. We
I'm
had
like,
one.
oh,
My sister was like 2 or 3, I think. And I would stay up way later than everybody else. There was a
yeah.
dirt cellar with stairs that came up into the kitchen. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting there watching TV. And all of a sudden, like, I hear steps like coming up the stairs into the kitchen. Like, I ran upstairs and woke them up to tell them somebody was in
Oh,
the
hell
house,
yeah. Yeah.
because and there was an outdoor entrance to that too. So it would have
Oh,
been possible for somebody to get in
to
through
get
that
in.
way.
Sure. Yeah. Not
So
even a supernatural thing necessarily. Yeah. I got the.
yeah. So
Mm.
I like lost it. And then my mom's boyfriend like he had guns and stuff. So he grabbed one of them and like ran downstairs, like
Just in
convinced that there was
case.
gonna be somebody
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And everything was still locked up tight. There was nothing there, but if I had to bet every future paycheck on that, like I would have sworn somebody was coming up those stairs.
That's
Um,
terrifying.
so yeah.
Which I guess means it's kind of changing gears for the next one. Are you excited to hear my thoughts on this one?
Oh my gosh, I've been dying since you watched it. I wanted so badly to message you and be like, tell me all the things. I
Yeah.
was like, no, just save it. Just
Just
wait,
hold off.
hold
I
off.
know. I know.
Let's hear
Yeah.
it. Let's do it.
So yeah, so Unhinged. Um, Definitely more like a psychological horror,
Hmm.
but I loved it. I thought it was crazy. Like I was like, is it who is it? Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Russell Crowe. And I'm like, just seeing him physically in that movie, you're like, what?
Something's off. Yeah. It just
Like
automatically kind of puts you
he's
like,
so good at making you think he's broken. Like there's something
yeah.
like not there's like, something going on. But like I
Yeah.
love that it starts so crazy because it
Mhm.
starts with him outside his ex-wife's house. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, because I'm just thinking about the bits that you and I talked about it, about what it was about. And I'm like,
Mhm.
where's this going? And I'm like, what the He just and I don't think I stopped saying that pretty much the entire movie. I did have to stop a lot while I was watching it, but it
Uh-huh.
was like I really loved that movie. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. Like the way that they started, I did think this was super well done. The way they started with the credits and like
Mhm.
the news comment, I mean like the opening credits with like the news comments about traffic accidents and distracted drivers and road rage. I'm like, that was so smart because I felt like
Yeah.
that gave me a huge like I felt unsettled. Like I was already feeling anxious before the movie even like really got going.
Mhm.
Which is pretty smart, I think, for this type of movie, like thriller,
Yeah.
whatever you want to like kind of categorize it as. But I
Yeah. It was a
really
good
loved
setup.
it. I really loved it. And so
Yeah. This
you said
one.
it kind of like resonated with you because of working in dispatch, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So a lot of people like are kind of surprised when I tell them this, but a good chunk of the phone call. So I'm not 911. Um, Crazy love to them because I don't know how they do it. I strictly deal with law enforcement.
Okay.
Probably like 70% of the calls that we get from the public are literally just people out on the road reporting like reckless drivers or, somebody cut me off, whatever.
Yeah.
And every once in a while we get that situation where it'll be like a road rage thing and we'll actually get both callers on the line. I'll be talking to one, my partner's talking to another one.
Oh, that's
And it always cracks me up because like when you get off the phone, the stories that you have are exactly the same. The caller that you're talking to is like, I was just driving along, minding my own business. I didn't do anything. And they started, being
yeah.
aggressive and honking their horn and flashing their
Yes.
bright lights. So every once in a while you get that one. He's like, yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I cut him off. I didn't mean it. So we always have mad respect for that guy who's like, yeah, all right, I did it.
Yeah.
Um, but, and especially, I mean, just in the news, like there's so much now where people just lose their minds over like being cut off or something that is
I
just
know.
so ridiculous. And I mean, there are those obnoxious drivers out there that do that stuff with no regard for anybody else, but a lot
Sure.
of it's like, they were in your blind spot. You didn't see them.
Yeah, it's
Um,
unintentional. Right. Yeah.
and people just in general take things so personally these days, that it was so easy to, because I've talked to that angry caller.
Right.
It's so easy to see how this dude like
Yeah.
lost his mind over something as simple as her like honking her horn to get him to move.
Yeah.
Um, so that and just, like you kind of think of your car as like safe space, like you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to your music, jamming out,
Yeah.
doing whatever in
Yeah.
your own little world. And it is easy to kind of like lose track of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So I felt like this one hit like right in the
Really
soul.
close. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. For sure.
and then
Yeah.
first of all, who doesn't lock their phone?
Oh my
Um,
God. When she said that, when she was like, he was like, oh no, passcode. I was like, oh, that's foreshadowing some crazy shit. And then
right?
he showed her putting her phone in the like middle thing. And I was like,
Uh,
come on. Then you know what else gave me anxiety? she took when she took her wallet and set her wallet on top of the car. I was like, bitch, if you don't stop making these choices, stop it.
and it just that part too, like, kind of makes you stop and think, like, I mean, if somebody was to get access to your phone, like, how much of your personal information
And they get,
would they have?
yeah.
And he like shows up at her brother's house and everything. Like,
Crazy. And the stuff that he was like able, like he had the kid's school name, pictures of the kid and the phone, like you're just not, and we become like, we're so reliant on our phones for so many things now. We don't
yeah,
think about like what that could be in the wrong hands like that.
yeah.
I mean, this was such a, oh my God, when he ran that guy over at the gas station, I
Oh,
was
I
like,
know.
holy shit, like that part I was like, oh no. But I think it's interesting because as much as you obviously like you don't go around killing people and torturing people because they honk their horn at you, that's fine. But like
Mm,
I think the other side of this is like you do have to be careful who you're willing to like react to in a car because you
yeah.
don't know who's in another vehicle or what
Oh,
they're capable
absolutely.
of or what they're dealing with. It's like there's an interesting mix of messages in this film, in that film, that I feel like we're just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I definitely and then and it even shows it, that part where she like goes to honk and she stops.
Yeah, at the
And I
very
was
end.
like, yeah, I'd have that shit removed.
Right?
I won't ever honk at another person a day in my life after everything I just been through today.
Oh yeah.
There's
It's
no
just
way.
it was
Oh,
so crazy.
oh,
And like you said, like you just never know. And I felt
yeah.
like one thing that they did that I liked, I mean, it was frustrating watching the movie, but I feel like it was more realistic, was like response time with law enforcement. Like there's never somebody, I mean, I won't say never, but there is
Right.
hardly ever somebody who is literally right around the corner.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
we get people who call in expecting that, there's
Immediate.
a person, yeah, there's an officer a mile up the road. And it's like, that's not, so they just keep missing him and missing him and missing him. And you're just like, no, no, there's been so many opportunities where people have called the police and everything else. But I mean, it is legit that difficult sometimes to,
Yeah.
and with them being on the move constantly, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Seconds.
would
Like
be
it's in
that hard to,
seconds. Yeah.
yeah. So it would be that hard to stop somebody like
Yeah.
that. Um, Especially since he wasn't just crazy, he was like smart crazy.
Yeah.
Which is extra terrifying.
Obnoxiously smart, crazy. Like you're like, what
Yeah.
in the, and I think like so I will say I think like my favorite part in general, just because it was kind of reminded me of like some Nightmare on Elm Street comeback lines, but it was like, in the beginning, he tells her like, this is a courtesy tap, and he like explains it. And so then
Yeah.
when she like stabs him with the scissors and it doesn't go all the way through, she goes, here's your fucking courtesy tap. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, be still my heart. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I
How they
love it.
managed that at
Because
the
you
end. Like I
feel
loved,
like that relief with her. Like the moment
yeah.
that happens, you're like, okay, like you feel it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
She's been functioning at such a high level, which I mean is, I guess, is pretty common in movies, but with
Right.
this one, like it's just so, you never know where he is. You don't know where he's gonna pop up. He's got all her information, so where is safe? Like
Right.
it's just, yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
that was
And
really good.
we watched it at work too. So I was just like, oh God, don't let this like bring this
Oh
kind of
my
call
gosh, I
in because I will
know.
lose my mind.
I love that one. That one was good. I really liked it a lot.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
No, I did. And I like the last one on your list too, because this was one that I saw probably when it first came out, which is The Mist.
Yes. I mean, Stephen King has like my first
Right.
horror novel. I read Desperation when I was in like third grade.
What?
So yeah, my mom got it from the library and I sat next to her and like read over her shoulder
Oh,
while
while
she
she
was
was
reading this.
reading it?
So,
Okay. I was like, what?
and that started it. I mean, I
Yeah.
still had, goosebumps and everything else,
Of
but
course. Right. Yeah.
I love my Stephen King.
Yeah.
But I feel like what got me so much with this one is that it was like a phenomenal representation of human behavior and how scary a I hate to say scared again, but like a frightened human being is so
Yes.
unpredictable and
Oh, yeah.
easily swayed. And you don't know what they're gonna do.
Nope.
That scene where the one woman convinces everyone that the soldier has to pay for the sins of the military,
And
and they throw
yeah.
this poor guy out there. That like devastated me. But it just,
Yeah, that was
people
pretty
are so
hurtful.
quick to, they have to have something to blame, and they have to have something tangible to like take it out on.
Oh yeah.
And I felt like from the psychological perspective on this one, like they just nailed it.
No, they did. I agree. Yeah.
And you know, kind of back to that unseen thing, like fog always makes me a little nervous just because you can't see what's going on.
Yeah, you have no idea.
So
Yeah.
to kind of make the fog your villain, like,
Gee.
oh, that was,
Yeah.
ugh.
Well done. No, I agree. I think it's one of my favorite things in horror, as far as like something that gets utilized to create fear, is humanity. Because when you're talking about, people in these situations where they are losing control, they don't have control, it's their reaction is to do whatever they can to feel like they're in control, which often means bad things for other people.
Yeah.
And it's, when we're in times of uncertainty, like I actually was just having this conversation with somebody like yesterday or the day before. Like, I like to sit here and be like, you know what, if zombies happen, I'd be a good person. But the reality is I don't think we really know what we're capable of until we're put in those situations. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. There are some people where you're like, yeah, no, you'd be a horrible person. I already know. But like, I feel like, but when it comes to like thinking about, like, I think I'm a pretty good person, right? I think I'm kind, I'm patient. I try to be generally understanding, and I accept everyone and I love everyone. And I'm like, but I don't know what that would mean in a situation where the world was ending or something like that happens, where you're like trapped in a damn grocery store and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen next. And I don't know. So I have not read The Mist. I've only seen the movie. So I'm not sure if I think I know the answer to this. I think the ending of the movie is different than the novel. I'm pretty sure it is. They always change things endings in the movies, I feel like.
Yeah. It's been so long since I read it.
Yeah, I think it's different just because I did a 30-second horror movie review on it on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure that was one of my like facts, was I talked about what the ending actually was. But I will say this, that moment where they're in the car at the very end and he has just killed everyone, and then the military comes in, and like that second where you see that like help is like there, like in the you're just like, oh my God. Like, that like you feel like you just killed all the people in the car. Like your emotions, like the color drains from you, your mouth falls open, and you're like, what? I cannot believe they ended that like that. But I love it at the same time, because you is kind of this push and pull of like, do you maintain hope? Do you give up hope? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. I'm not even gonna lie, I cried like a baby for probably like 10 to 15 minutes after this, just feeling like, just trying to imagine like the despair and the guilt and like just how horrible he would have felt after that. I
can't, like,
it was so funny because I had watched it with a guy I was seeing at the time. And I also, like, spiders are my biggest thing. Like, if you were to randomly walk up to somebody who knows me and ask anything that they think about when they think of me, it's going to be spiders, because everybody knows I'm horrified. So there was already that in there, and he was like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that part. And then we get to the end, and I'm just like sobbing hysterically, and he's like, I'm so sorry, like I forgot it ends that way. That's so, oh my God, I feel so bad. Like, he was just awful. He felt horrible. But that was the same thought I had. Like, it's a really good point of like, kind of trying to hold on to that hope and like not giving up. Because if he had waited 30 seconds,
oh my God, I know. That's the most agonizing part, because you feel this hopelessness, like you feel it. You're like, I'm gonna suffer through this and do this, and then me, and then like this is me saving them, and then you're like the only one left. Like, that moment, like, you're just, it's, oh my God, like that movie just had me like mystified, I think is the appropriate word. But like,
I see what you did there. But again, like I feel pretty good at my choices after I took the time, because like I created a whole Word document and I was like, all right, all my thoughts about these
I
movies.
know. Yeah. It's
So
hard.
I was like, well, I guess I feel like I made pretty solid choices. So I don't regret any of the ones that I
No,
had on there.
I don't,
But
and I don't think you should, because I like that you all that they all hit for different reasons. I really
Mhm.
like that. It's like, it's not like you picked like five slashers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no.
they're all different. They all hit different for different reasons. And it's like one of the things that I think I love the most about the genre is how versatile it is. Like, I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many things like, I feel like, rom-coms are rom-coms, dramas are dramas, but I feel like you can have like all of these other elements from all these other types of films and have that in horror. Like it can
Yeah.
be there, and it is for a lot of them. Like,
Oh
and
yeah.
I really love that about it. It's I feel like it's like there's something for everybody. Like,
Yeah. That
oh
I always think a Cabin in the Woods with that, like how they bring all
yes.
the humor into that one.
Oh my God. It's a yeah,
Just
a
there's so many parts
satire
that
of a
crack me up.
dark comedy. I was actually
Yeah.
rewatching Black Christmas today because I'm gonna do a top five holiday horror movies video
Ooh, that'll
for
be fun.
Christmas. And so like I have not seen the original Black Christmas in eons. Like it's been so long since I've seen it. And I
I don't think I've
forgot
seen it.
how freaking funny that movie is. That movie is so funny, and it's horrible, like it's really bad, but it's also very
Mhm.
very funny. And it's the 1970s 74, no, 270s. It's in the like early mid 70s. But it's like it's so good. And I was like laughing. I was watching it at work. And my coworker was like, "Why are you laughing?" And she was like, "Aren't you used to watching like horror movies?" I was like, "Yes, but this is like a dark comedy. It's totally different." Yeah, it's and dark comedies, in my opinion, are not an easy thing to accomplish. So I always
Oh
appreciate it
yeah.
was really well done.
Yeah. To
Yeah.
be able to like make somebody laugh but still have them in
Mhm.
that mindset,
Oh
like
yeah,
ready
for
for the
sure.
jump scare kind of thing
Yeah, it's good.
takes
Another
skill.
really good one, and I'm going to talk about this in my video too, is Krampus, which came out in like 2018 or something, 2017.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that movie so much.
Yes.
That's such a good one.
Just some of the villains are
Yes.
just so outrageous.
Oh
Like you
my God,
can't
I
help but
know.
like giggle.
I'm obsessed. And when I went into it not realizing that it was going to be kind of a funny one, like I didn't
Yeah.
realize, but I mean, maybe some of the actors should have probably told me that, but I just wasn't even thinking that. And so like when you start seeing the toys and stuff, I'm like, what in the hell? I loved it. I love that movie from freaking beginning to end. I loved it. It
Yeah.
was so good. That's
Yeah, that one cracks me up.
easily one of my favorites. So so funny.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with me.
Absolutely. I
Um,
feel like such a cool kid now.
yeah, we're like
Like,
cool
ooh.
besties. I love it. No, it's fun because like we've been interacting, so I kind of already felt like we'd been talking, like this didn't feel not strange, but awkward, maybe. Like it
Yeah.
didn't
No.
feel because we've been interacting for days. So it just kind of
Yeah.
felt like, oh yeah, now we're just gonna talk like sort of face to face.
Right.
Do
Finally got to, oh my God. I just, like I said, ever since you told me you were watching Unhinged, I was just like, don't ask. Just
no, and it was
don't
so
open that
funny.
door.
I know. And I had the same thought when I wanted to bitch about A24 movies. And I was like, nope, I'm going to save it. So it's not like a repeat conversation. It'll be organic
Right.
all at one time. Yeah. No, I really liked your list. It was fun. It was fun seeing Unhinged. I really liked it a lot. And I am glad that I kind of forced myself to get through Midsommar as well. I think
Mhm.
there was some really good stuff in that one. So there's a lot of stuff I didn't like, but there was some stuff that I
Yeah.
actually did like, which I don't think I've ever said about an A24 before. Like I posted, I followed Dread Central on Facebook, and they had shared an article about, it was before the movie Lamb came out. I don't know if you've seen like a trailer for that, or it's another A24 movie. It's
Okay.
got the girl from Prometheus in it. She's got like kind of a unique name. But they had shared, and I like commented under it. I was like, am I the only person on the planet that hates A24 movies? And I was dying laughing because so many people were like commenting, like, yeah, you're the only one.
Oh
I was like, I guess I'm gonna sit on this island alone then, because I hate it. It was so funny because people were like brutal. They were like, yeah, no, you're wrong.
no. Oh no. Like,
Oh,
no shame. Plant this
I know.
flag on my island and I'm gonna own it.
I know. I don't even care. I'm like, I have so many opinions on A20. Like my sister-in-law texted me because she saw that I tweeted that I'd watched it. And she was like, "Did you like it?" And I was like, "No, not really." Like there were parts that I liked. I was like, but the A24 just makes me so mad. And I like went on this tangent via text. And I'm thinking here, like, she's probably like, geez, know as if you liked. That was so funny. I was like, I've got to get better about unloading.
Well, it's hard, everybody's got that thing that they're passionate about, especially with like creative stuff. So,
true.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's worse with found footage. When people tell me they don't like found footage, I'm like,
ugh,
so
I know. Like how much more realistic feeling
shit, I
can it get?
know. Oh my God, I know. And but I tell people all the time, like, I almost take it personally. Like I made found footage. Like, like I get so mad. And you know what really irritates me? It really irritates me when they've only seen like Blair Witch Project and that's it. I'm like, come
Oh,
on,
I know.
man. There's some good stuff out there. And they've really fine-tuned the way they do found footage films. They're not even done the same way anymore. I get real heated when people are like, I hate found footage. It's so dumb. Like, you're dumb.
Do you get Russell Crowe?
Yes,
do you
that's
go Russell
me.
Crowe?
Painkillers and all. Don't you dare talk about my found footage movie. It's so
There
ridiculous.
is. I don't know if you listen to podcasts or not, but there's one called The White Vault, and it's basically the podcast version of found footage. And they go through like recordings and stuff, and then they'll read out notes that they've found. Oh, girl, oh my gosh.
It's a podcast. Are they like on Spotify?
I think
Are they
so.
on Twitter?
Yes, they are.
The White Vault.
Yeah.
If I don't do it now, I'll forget.
I'm right there with you.
Vault.
Yeah, there were days like because I work night shift, so I drive to work in the dark and I drive home in the dark. And there were a couple mornings where I was like, I don't really want to get out of my car right now. Like I'm safe in here. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that one.
Indie Horror, the horror audio drama podcast.
Yep.
Kind of looks like, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow.
So good.
I say I'm going to make more time for podcasts, but podcasts are hard to make time for because if I do it from the sense of like, oh, I'm just going to listen to it like in the background, then I won't pay attention.
Right. Yeah, that's one I listen to mainly when I'm driving back and forth to work. So when I'm home, I usually have I have music or like the TV on or whatever.
Right.
But yeah,
no, I'll check it out. I've got a few saved in general that I plan on listening to more. And I found a couple that I really like. I really like Cadaver Dogs and I really like What a Scream. She is awesome. I really like her. She did a What a Scream did, I think she's based in the UK. She did an episode like I don't know. It was like the first one I ever listened to that she did. And I can't remember who her guest was. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but they picked their favorite final girl and talked about what the concept of a final girl meant for like modern day feminism and like what it was like were our final girls really like a good thing or like, and they break down like how they've changed. It was like that episode had me so hooked. And then I did like I can't remember what episode I did for my show after that, but after that, like I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like it just made me think about like all these things and like I'll just like how all of these people, all of these women and like how different they are and what they did and what they didn't. Anyway, but it's What a Scream and Cadaver Dogs are the two that I've had the opportunity to listen to the most. I've had others that I listened to, but those two are ones that I just I seem to catch when they share it and then I just go listen to it right away so I don't forget. They're really good. I like both of them a lot. Cadaver Dogs is 3 people. It's 2 guys and a girl that do that one. Devin is the girl. I can't remember what the guys' names are, but anyway, but they're really good too. And they break down like movies and they talk about common themes. And if they watch this, they should message me back about doing an episode. Because they had some really cool ideas they sent me and I was like, I want to do this one or this one or this one. I'm like, please.
I volunteer.
I know. Like, I love to talk about werewolves, please. Gonna make me do my own.
Right? Do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. This was a fun conversation. I love
Yeah, it
your movie
was.
choices. They were really good.
Well, good. I'm glad it wasn't a painful list.
No. And Midsommar was only painful at certain points.
Yeah.
It
God,
wasn't,
that god awful sex scene.
that was horrible. And the old lady behind him, I was like, oh my God, please.
Yeah. Like,
Fast forward.
just stop. Please just make it stop.
Oh, so uncomfortable. But anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll do it again.
Heck yeah.
Eventually. Yeah. When I redo my list, I guess.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm going to have to redo it. That's all.
Do a 5 worst list. I don't know if I could pick 5 of the worst though.
Yeah, I did ones with cult followings, but that's definitely not the same as like my overall worst. That was like, what was that? Danny or Donnie Darko, Hereditary, It Follows. I'm trying to remember what my other 2 were, because I think I went back and forth on what my final 2 were. Those are the 3 that I was like, I fucking hate these movies. And then I had to like think of my last 2. I'm trying to remember what the other 2 were. It Follows, Hereditary. I don't know. It's on my channel, but but it was one that like you can tell as I'm talking about it, my face starts getting red. Like, hate these movies. And it's offensive that they exist.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we will figure something out. I'm super excited.
Yeah, no, me too, for sure. All right, hon. Well, enjoy your night.
You too.
I'm going to send you the name of that Netflix movie so you can look it up because it's really good.
Yes, please do.
It's all about humanity. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it.
Scary stuff, man. People are weird.
That's so true. Well, have a good night.
You too. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for hanging out and watching our top 5 influential horror movies. I'm really enjoying doing these episodes. They are a lot of fun, and I am really enjoying the interactions I'm having with other people in the horror community. So I hope you are enjoying watching them as much as I am having them. These episodes will be also listed on our podcast, which will be in the description below. And you can go there to listen to the full episode without the cuts that we had to make for time references for YouTube. And yeah, make sure you circle back. There's going to be 11 episodes total. So make sure you're caught up on all of the ones before and after. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy your weekend. We will see you in the next one.